if you forgot my name earlier. Now we do have one beautiful cheetah in here. Her name is Cinder. She is quite old for a cheetah. She's roughly around 13, okay? So cats out in the wild really only average about 7 years, so she's getting quite on in age, and they really only make about it to about 15 in captivity. So there is a little bit of a difference there. I'm going to see if I can get her up today. I'm going to be feeding her lots of beautiful chicken. Okay, so we do have some chicken wings in here, and then also just some plain breast meat as well. Okay, so we'll see how she goes. She might not. I'm sorry, I'm going to go this way. Cinder. Go to her. Now both of us are new, so she's just going to try and get a sense of us.
Oh, isn't that absolutely gorgeous, honey?
So we're feeding out about 1.7 kilos of meat today. Now while she is walking up quite slowly, okay, cheetahs are actually known for being quite fast, okay. So these guys are your fastest land mammal. They can reach top speeds of about 110 kilometres an hour, and they can reach that speed in under 3 seconds. Their acceleration is actually faster than a lot of race cars, which is pretty cool. But they, on the other hand, they can't actually outrun a race car. These guys are actually short distance runners and really only average about 30 seconds in a sprint before they have to sit down and rest for half an hour. Do you want to kind of slowly throw those in and see if we can get her a bit closer? Now the reason they have to rest for about half an hour, okay, is because they generate a lot of body heat during that sprint. Now you can also try and lop it over the top and see if she comes as well. Now they do have quite big lungs and large nostrils to try and get in a lot of air. Now if they do happen to catch something, and during that period where they sit down for about half an hour, it's really good time for a lot of other predators to come and steal food. It's a bit like takeaway. Cheetah does all the effort and they just come past when it's too tired to do anything and snatch it off them, and they just have to sit there and cop it. To try and avoid this, they do try and hunt during the day, in the middle of the day, when a lot of the other big cats are just like zonked out, laying on their back snoozing. So these guys are primarily diurnal hunters, where the other ones are sort of crepuscular, dawn to dusk. Now, because they hunt during the day and you're in the bright sunlight, we all put sunglasses on to avoid the glare. These guys obviously can't. So those big tear marks down here are actually pretty much sunglasses for them. So it's meant to absorb the sun and stop it reflecting into their eyes so they can actually see what they're chasing after. So just watch your arm down. Beautiful. No. Now these guys, when they hunt, okay, they obviously use their beautiful big teeth. They do have quite large canines, and they also have a special gap after their canines which helps get around the neck and into the back, okay. Now most big cats also have what we call carnassials, which are the teeth generally at the back of their mouth, and they're just like blades, and they actually help shear the meat off the bone. Also, has anyone got a cat at home?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Cat, you've ever been licked by a cat?
Yes.
She's right, she's just like, have you got mommy? Yes. It's good. She's eyeing me off to make sure I'm not doing any crazy movements. But that when she hisses, that's when she's a little bit nervous. And I will explain why she's a little bit there. So just push through now. Yep, that's the way. See, nice and close. You'll also see on her feet, okay, that her claws aren't quite as sharp as, say, a lion or a tiger's. That's because these guys are built for running, not for fighting, okay? Now, their claws are non-retractable. They're pretty much out all the time, and they're a bit more like running spikes on a shoe, okay? Now, because they're built for speed, they're obviously a lot lighter as well, so they only average around 45 to 60 kilos.
That's very high resolution, so you don't need to
Now,
zoom it
that's
in.
one reason why we can
Yep.
go in with them as well. Because they're built for speed, they also have a personality that matches, okay? So when they're confronted, they generally back off and go, oh no, I'm peace, I don't want to fight, okay? Whereas lions and tigers, they got the big muscles, big claws, big head, and they're just like, bring it on, okay? So you know, if something did happen in here, it's a lot easier to push 45 kilos off than it is, say, a 200 kilo lion tiger. Now this is actually going to be of benefit for their conservation, okay? These guys are disappearing very rapidly out in the wild. One really big one is poaching. Okay. Now, poaching and farming actually, they're pretty much the big ones. Now, these guys, their habitat is disappearing again because of farming. Farmers want to go out there and use all the best land and put barriers up and block these guys off from their natural food source. So when these guys do actually take a prey item from the farm, say whatever they're taking, the farmers get really, really filthy and they actually go out and shoot the cheetahs as a pest. So a lot of programs out there like Cheetah Outreach and DeWilt and other companies like that, they're actually going out there trying to talk to the farmers and explain, look, you know, it's actually better if you let the cheetah take one or two, because that way you're also going to get people coming onto your land to look at the cheetahs, and you're going to get money through tourism, which is really, really good. It's easy money, they're already there. So, yep, just pop it straight through, just put your hand again. Yep, that's the way. So what they're also doing is, because these guys don't like being confronted, they're actually training dogs to go on the livestock of these farmers. So they're using Anatolian shepherd dogs, and these guys love their herd. Whatever they're protecting, they just love it. It's like, that's my new family and I'm going to protect it at all costs. So when the cheetahs try to sneak up and take something, the dogs come out of nowhere, and these guys go, whoa, what is that, and turn around and run. That way these guys don't have to be shot as pests, and we can try and get their numbers building up. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work, and you do have some that get injured, or you have some cubs that are orphaned. They're taken in and they're reared back up, hopefully to try and be re-released back out. But if push comes to shove and we can't do that, then they're either used like in zoos, which is actually how Pinda come to be here. She made a full recovery, but she was too used to humans. So she'd always come back to the sanctuary, and it was really bad, because if there's a poacher walking past, she'd just walk up and be like, hey man, where's my food? And he's like, hey, you're mine now. So that's really, really bad for that. Other ones can be used as surrogate mothers, so females, for new cubs that they get in, or they actually rear them and take them over to schools and take them around, and they get to pat them and show the new generation that these guys aren't a pest, they're actually really cool, and to try and conserve them. Now those companies, those organisations are also trying to breed them, which is actually really, really hard. So thousands of years ago, these guys actually went through a massive bottleneck, and their population numbers was huge and went all the way down to a couple of individuals. So apparently there's only about 6 sets of common genes in these guys, and they're pretty much all identical. So pretty much everyone's breeding with someone they're related to, which is really hard, and that's not our fault. That was due to some natural product that came out, so I don't know what it was that wiped them out, but it wasn't actually humans in that case. Phew! We've done a few dodgy things in the past. But breeding them back obviously is then hard, because everyone's so related. The sperm in these guys is really defective, it's all bent, and their tail's bent, doesn't swim properly. They also don't breed with anyone they know, which is a really good thing. Females are also basically have to bring them into heat, and that is through the presence of about 5 males. So 5+ males. Females are really picky. If there's one male, she's like, I don't know if you're good enough, man, like seriously, don't come near me. But if there's 5, she can go, you look the best one, and then she'll come into heat, and then she can mate. If you finally get them to mate, and then you do have offspring, the offspring are really, really weak. They're born with a lot of sort of problems or deformities, so rearing them is really hard. And I was talking to another keeper down south, and you know, they had 4 cheetah cubs, and she was like, oh my god, she's like, for a year and a half, every night we thought these cheetah cubs were going to die, like they're just so fragile. And it wasn't until about the 1.5 year mark where they just kind of were like, I think they'll be okay, they could be sweet. So yeah, really, really fragile animals.
And they can't introduce variations, mutations to increase the number of variations?
Not really, because they're pretty much clones of each other at this point, because of that massive bottleneck. So it's only going to be natural mutations that happen in the body that, you know, we can't control, which is like what the king cheetah is. Have you guys seen those? It's pretty much like, if you look at her, she's got nice defined spots. King cheetahs, it looks like someone's throwing a bucket of water over them with their spots all wet, and they all run together, and they kind of almost look a bit like a tiger, but they're a cheetah. Like, you know, so it's all melted together, which is really cool. So that is a natural variation. Doesn't produce any benefit to the cheetah. Sometimes it, you know, parents go, whoa, you look weird, off you go. Don't look after them. But that one does exist out in the wild, and it's pretty rare, but yeah, it doesn't offer any great benefit. In order to get those mutations as well, you also have to have very strong selective pressures and ones that aren't like humans. So that one is just wiping them out and pretty much overriding any other sort of mutation that could possibly offer any sort of advantage. So yeah, it can't get through quite as fast as we'd like.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool to listen to them crack, hey?
So around this in the wild, they would get birds as well with feathers and stuff, you know? Does it make a difference if they don't get feathers on their birds and stuff? Like,
No.
do they do anything out of that, you know, like feathers and stuff?
Not really. Most animals actually pluck stuff beforehand. So yeah. So I know. Yeah, they just sit down and pluck it. Tigers do. They pluck everything.
So what do you feed them? What do you feed the pythons here?
The pythons. I haven't been present while they've fed it. We're both new, so but we pretty much only feed out mice, mice and rats. They're going to be your the big ones. So yeah, depends how big they are. Like I know I worked in the aquarium section at my last zoo, and we had mice for the little ones, and we had rats for the obviously decent sized ones. We had an olive python who we actually fed out a chicken to. That was hilarious to watch. We generally feed out rabbits
75 megabytes.
and then hares for the really big sort of man-eating size snakes. So give them a couple of those. Yeah, we chuck children in every now and then as well.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't feed them?
Over here more.
But that's not cooked. That's all raw. No, but I
What
mean,
does that mean, Dad?
What?
No. For pythons and stuff like that,
the
it
cheetah.
has to be whole because they have a very particular way they actually eat their prey. So there must be a head. If there is no head, they're like just spend the whole time trying to find the head. So that was actually the case with the chicken. We fed the olive python. What happened was we dangled it in. She bit onto the chest meat and wrapped her body around the neck. Now we normally feed out rabbits and stuff like that, so very solid neck. Chicken, she just went and she popped the head off. She actually ended up eating the head and then spent about sort of 45 minutes to an hour trying to find the head again. And then because she popped it out, the chest cavity was open, so she kept like say that's the chest cavity. Instead of like going around it, she kind of gnawed it like that, which was good enrichment for her to try and figure it out. But yeah, she got really confused. She got,
Oh,
what
grassy.
happened to it? So yeah, you can't just feed out a bit of meat like that. They won't take it. They might lick it and be like, that's like something I'd want to eat, but I'm not trying.
That's a cheetah.
So yeah. Very different, whereas these guys are like meat. They just like smash it. And most places you will find will feed out like that. Especially even with our big cats and stuff like that, you know, they'll just get a rib portion or a leg or chicken carcasses. Like very few organisations that will also feed out big chunks of meat that you can recognise because some people find it disturbing to sit there and watch them eat a head. Or, you know, especially little kids, it's like, it's eating a pony! You know, it's... So we do try and break that for them.
She's going now. She's headed there.
Yeah, see, they're pretty smart. She's like, no food, man, I'm leaving. She has left one, which is good. So that's about 1.7, so that's roughly what she should have eaten. She's also a lot older, and as you know, older animals tend to slowly cut back on what they eat because they're not exerting as much energy.
Okay,
And you know,
stop it now, Mikie.
she's happy to wander around. It's not like she's going to go off and
Press that one.